What is up, boys and girls? It's your pal right here, Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael Lee Sanders. You are checking out an all-new Impact Showdown, episode 120 for this Wednesday, September 24th, 2014. We're covering fallout from this episode that we got this week of TNA Impact Wrestling, as it was the Gold Rush edition, the New York Gold Rush edition at that, or as I like to think of it, Fool's Rush, and I'll explain a little bit more in just a little bit. As always, we welcome those of you that take the time out to check out Impact Showdown every single week. Those of you that's checking us out here on YouTube, as it's our live webcast edition, or you're checking us out on the downloads as the audio version available of our Impact Showdown episodes. We definitely welcome you all. Hope that you enjoy the show. As always, we want to get you guys involved for the next little bit that we're on the air live here. You can interact with us by hitting us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity with an E. And make sure you throw the actual number one in there. Infinity with an E. Throw the actual number one in there. Infinity One Productions. You can share this episode a number of ways by retweeting it, Google Plusing it, Facebooking it, as it's always one of the best ways you can spread the word about our content, show your support. Those of you that's watching our live webcast on YouTube right about now, we definitely would love it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to us, because we're always posting some great content for you all here on a weekly basis. Hey, did I mention, in case you guys have missed the news, I am now a regular columnist for the TNA Insider.com website. If you haven't swung on over to that site yet, make sure you do, man. Not only myself, I got to give props to Mr. Anderson, to Christian, to Darren, the whole team over there. A lot of great articles that you'll find on there on a weekly basis. Really cool article that is live right now that I wrote, which is basically called, get this, TNA Wrestling Guide to a New Home, as I was tackling what would be the best network for TNA Wrestling to be on, as the rumors were just running rampant all throughout the day today, actually this week, that TNA Wrestling was probably going to be announcing the new TV deal. As it's been, the reports that's been floating around has been saying that there's basically 4 number one contenders. 2 out of those 4 are very, very strong. We keep hearing about Velocity. We keep hearing about WGN America. But check out that article if you haven't already. It was actually went up live earlier today. It was really freaking awesome. I had a great time writing it. It's been receiving a lot of feedback for it. I'll make sure we have the link be available in this episode description for those of you that might be checking this out later on the downloads, or maybe for your respective tablet or mobile devices. For now, let's go ahead and let's talk about the fallout from TNA Wrestling. I know I had teased you guys about the whole rumors of the new network deal, supposedly. Nothing was announced on this episode, but I would suspect something is going to be coming about before the end of October. That's just my wishful thinking, as I to the fall season now. So, when I think this episode of TNA that we got this week, it just felt like a filler type of an episode. I really just did not like the whole concept that they were doing with this episode, which was basically, for throughout the entire broadcast, you're basically going to see these little tournament rounds where this person will face this person, and whoever wins from that will go to the main event match, where they were dubbing it the New York City Gold Rush. And basically what was on the line was, at the end, you'll have 5 people that will go into whatever match, singles matches. Whoever wins meets in the main event match, and whoever wins that gets a shot at challenging for whatever championship their heart desires. So you hear that and you're saying to yourself, oh, okay, that sounds kind of intriguing. That sounds kind of good. Maybe I might want to stick around for this. But see, there lies in the problem, folks. For me, I can't stand it when we get shows like this, because it just feels like creatively nothing was really put out there and exhausted to the point that it's like, okay, well, you know what, we did our best. We tried to come up with as many ideas as possible, storyline wise, to put on a really good show. We wanted to try to be heavy on the wrestling, but I'm not really sure how we can go about these whole 2 hours. Oh, well, you know what? Let's just do a tournament. I mean, that's basically what it was in a nutshell. It was a tournament. There was no story arcs that dominated in this episode. There wasn't any like, okay, so remember what happened with Bobby Roode last week and how he lost to Lashley? Well, what's his mindset this week? What's going to happen to him? Where is Bobby Roode going to go from the defeat that he took at the hands of Lashley? We didn't have that follow-up. There was no Gail Kim Havoc follow-up. No story arcs at all on this episode. There was a little subtle touch of Rockstar Spud and EC3. We saw Rockstar Spud. He was seen in a backstage segment as cameras were on him. He was on the phone trying to work things out with EC3. Apparently EC3 wants him in the ring next week. Apparently they're going to be hashing out some stuff. As far as Spud is concerned, this is what he kind of said to the cameras. Hey, he and EC3, they're best of buds. They're just going through a little bit of a spat, but it's going to be all good. He hopes that everything will be resolved next week or whatnot. And as you all know, as we have broke the news to you all last week, it looks like Brodus Clay, I guess he signed with TNA Wrestling. I'm not going to put that out there. I know he's done some work with TNA Wrestling. To what extent he's going to be working with them, as far as if it's going to be long-term or short-term, that remains to be seen. But he has done some work for TNA at these recent batch of shows that they were taping. So you're keeping that in your back of your mind as you're seeing what's going on with Rockstar Spud. But then the other little slight story arc that we got a little bit of a drop on had to do with the bromance, as Robbie E was telling the other guys how he's got one of the beautiful people on his side. I can't think of which girl he has. I think he has Angelina. Maybe he has Velvet. I don't know. They're both blonde to an extent, but he's got one of the beautiful people. And then he's talking about how he has Brooke as his sidekick on The Amazing Race, which is going to be premiering on CBS in just a hot minute, probably before this week is out, maybe mid-October. So you're hearing that, and you're like, okay, it's kind of good that we're hearing this little name recognition, because after all, most of us know that Robbie E and Brooke, they're a couple in real life. And unfortunately, we didn't see or hear Robbie acknowledge it, but it was kind of funny how the other guys of the bromance, DJ Z and Jesse, they said to him, hey, you know, there's cameras recording us right now, so you talking about how you got one girl on this side and this girl on the other side, you know, everybody's going to be seeing it, and leave it to Jesse to tell him, hey, man, I was on a reality show, Big Brother, remember, there's cameras everywhere, kind of like what's going on right now. We're actually being filmed, dude. What the hell is going on here? You know, watch what you say. And we just saw Robbie E just haul ass. But, I mean, that was really it as far as your story arcs have gone. If you've been paying attention to Impact Wrestling within recent weeks, we've not seen an appearance by the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle yet. I don't know if that's by design or maybe TNA Wrestling is trying to figure out where exactly his head is far as is he going to stay with TNA Wrestling or is he going to go elsewhere. But other than those main two story arcs that I kind of mentioned to you guys there, and not even really major story arcs, not unless you want to really, if you want to be technical, the Rockstar Spud EC3 one, that's definitely a major story arc right there. There really wasn't any substance. So all you had was this tournament that was going on throughout the whole night. Let's blaze through them real quick here. MVP taking on Low Key. Honestly, I thought it was really weird seeing both of these guys come out in bodysuits to a certain extent. I couldn't help but chuckle when I saw these two guys come out. I'm saying to myself, okay, on the one hand, it's awesome that MVP has come a long way from looking like a Power Rangers / VR Troopers guy, okay? That's awesome. But then on the other hand, I'm saying to myself, okay, we got two guys and bodysuits. Yeah, one might not have sleeves, but it's still bodysuits to a certain extent. I'm thinking to myself, damn, could one of these guys come out with the upper half of their costume around their waist? I mean, both of these guys are in really great shape. They look like they got some six packs going on, especially low key. You could definitely tell he's got some nice, good ripped abs going on under there. I'm thinking maybe somebody's going to come out, but no, that didn't happen. I thought maybe at some point somebody would have their upper half tire get ripped off. That didn't happen. But you know, it was a great opening match. I will definitely give it that. Production value wise, I really enjoyed Impact Wrestling this week, especially with the opening video packages for Low Key, MVP. TNA production did a hell of a job with that. I thought maybe that was going to be a consistent theme that was going to be happening throughout the night, but as far as I can recall, it really just had went to MVP Low Key, and I was fine for that. Great opening match, really set the tone, but then the tone kind of got lost as you continue on this journey of the New York City Gold Rush. MVP, he would defeat Low Key in that Gold Rush first round tournament, whatnot. He would advance to the main event match. To Jury, if I'm not mistaken, he would go on to defeat Robbie E. Fans continuing to chant, To Jury still got it. He never lost it. He's been wrestling for years. He's just been doing his thing with his own company, and then he went overseas for a little bit once his company had collapsed and everything. So this whole you still got it. I just think it's kind of funny when we hear that sometimes, knowing damn well those of us that are very familiar with our wrestling and we're familiar with the careers of a lot of people, we know they haven't just. But that's the thing, unfortunately, when you really think about it. I know it's kind of frustrating to some of you guys out there when you hear that and you see that, but unfortunately that's just the way it is. You got some folks that say that they're wrestling fans, and they don't even at least educate themselves on, oh, well, what's this wrestler been doing since they haven't been on WWE programming or ECW programming or WCW programming? What have they been up to? Are they still around? What are they doing? It's like when they see them, they think this person is like, I guess, getting back into wrestling or whatever. Like, I don't know. I could understand it if it was a case where I think a good example would be, let's just, for the sake of the argument, this is a good analogy. Let's say AJ Styles was still with TNA Wrestling. Let's just pretend he didn't wrestle anywhere. He didn't wrestle for TNA. He didn't wrestle for New Japan, Ring of Honor. He didn't wrestle for anybody for 5 years. He's basically helping out guys in the back. He's helping out with production and all that, helping people get their finishes together and all that. Let's say he's just in some type of a role like that, and he's been at it for 5 years, hasn't wrestled anywhere. Fast forward to that point, maybe AJ Styles gets the itch. He decides he wants to get back into wrestling. So you check him out wrestling for the first time in 5 years on that new episode of Impact Wrestling, or maybe it goes down at a TNA pay-per-view in the United States, and he wrestles. You know what? Legitimately, I can understand. You still got it. You still got it. I can understand that. I'm completely fine with that. But some of these wrestlers, you know, it's like they've been wrestling nonstop. It hasn't stopped for them just because we haven't seen them on TV. I just wish some fans would just educate themselves a little bit more. I'm not bashing those fans, so don't feel offended if you feel I'm talking about you as you're watching this. I'm just making a very valid point right here. There's nothing wrong with educating yourself. Look, I'm not saying you have to go watch like every single match that person has done since you last saw them on TV. Just at least know, oh yeah, well, you know, after he left, he's been doing his thing down there. At least know that much before you get into the whole, oh, you still got it. Just irritate, but I digress. So to Jury, he advanced. Austin Aries, he had a pretty, God, I think this was probably the weakest match of the night. I really couldn't get into this when Mike Knox, I was actually more into Rebel during this. And I know we have some people out there. Apparently, I like irritated one or two people that said, "Oh, Lee, one day you're gonna like talk about women wrestling, and you're gonna talk more than just the way they look." To that I say, where have you been? If you look on our YouTube channel, you'll see more than once I've talked about Shine Women's Wrestling. I'm getting the itch to talk about it again. It's just about finding the right opportunity to squeeze it into the schedule, because my schedule is so hectic now with writing articles, the shows, post production, then my actual daytime job and all that. So it's really hard for me to try to squeeze in Shine, but I'm definitely getting the itch to talk about it more. And when I do talk about Shine Wrestling, or I name drop Shimmer, not just on here, it's like if you listen to our radio shows, you guys know I definitely do my best to try to go a little bit all over the place. I talk more than just, oh, this girl looked hot. I talk about the wrestling. Put it to you this way: if I'm watching two girls wrestle, all right, and they aren't wrestling worth a damn, it's not entertaining worth a damn, I'm going to go for the next best thing. I'm going to be like, well, are they at least good looking eye candy? Can I at least put the TV on mute, just kick back and go, lovely, very lovely. If I can't even do that, then I'm just going to go, I don't know, walk the dog, use that opportunity for a bathroom break, take out the trash, whatever, all right? But I couldn't help but look at Austin Aries during the opening bouts for this match against Mike Knox, because we see Rebel, she comes out. And by the way, was I the only one that noticed when Rebel came out she didn't have a cast on her hand? I mean, we heard the reports. Well, I don't know if you guys heard, but I kind of heard from a buddy or two that, hey, man, it looks like TNA Wrestling, they taped a bunch of episodes, and it looks like they're going to be showing stuff out of sequence. I'm like, huh? What the hell? What are you talking about? I don't get it. So, like, last week, we saw the episode of Impact where there was like a Knockouts Battle Royal to determine a #1 contender, of which Havoc had won. You guys remember the spot where Rebel had went over the top rope, she landed on the steel steps, and basically it was that episode, that taping, where she had injured her wrist, so much so that it was put into a cast. Now, where she is now, I have no clue. Probably would do me a ton of good to actually check her out on Twitter or Instagram or whatever and see how her healing process is coming along, as it's been several weeks now. But you're keeping that in mind. You're saying, okay, so we know she got injured right there. All right, so let's see what happens, next week. Are they going to address it? What? They didn't do that. You just see her come out, no cast and all that. So you say, okay, so apparently they did this episode like before what we saw last week. That's just how they're doing it, folks. Might be a little irritating to some of you guys, but that's just how they're doing it. But in either case, we saw Rebel. She did her little spot, did a stretch between the ropes, and we see Austin Aries. He's kicking back like, damn, man. I know I couldn't help but say, damn, as I was seeing Rebel do that. It reminds me, we're young adults here. I mean, we know our target audience is like 18 and up. Let's be for real, and we know it's a majority of you guys that check us out, and we do appreciate that. But I'm going to keep it clean for that 15, 18% of females that checks out our content as well. But for me, seeing Rebel do what she did, it just reminded me of a girl I used to date many, many, many years ago. And let me tell you, and she was a cheerleader. Let me tell you, boy, that's some good times. That's all I got to say right there, folks. But no, seriously, I couldn't help but look at Austin Aries and say, okay, now look, you got in trouble with one redhead before, and Christy Hemme, when you threw your pelvis all in her face and all that. You better leave this redhead alone if you know what's good for you. I really could not get into that match. Talk about a huge distraction, too, by the way, and looking at the freak, Rob Terry. I mean, don't even get me on the Rob Terry rant, but, like, I'm totally like, what the hell, man? What's up with the big freak, Rob Terry, can we see this guy wrestle more? Why do we have him under a mask? Look at him. He is just a big genetic freak. Why is this man not wrestling more? I mean, we know he's doing stuff, or he was doing stuff overseas for Wrestle One and all that, but it's like, why hasn't he been utilized more in North America on these TNA tapings? Instead, he's gone out and he's doing more work on the indie scene and all that. I mean, it's just discredit to him. You know, if you're not going to use him properly, release him already. That's just my whole thing. I don't know if there are many of you guys that would agree with that, but I just look at a guy like that and I'm saying to myself, there's money to be made off of him. Look at him. And you have him in a stupid mask just standing there being silent. That's all I'm going to say. I could talk longer on that, but I'm not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there. I'll say this and I'll move on. I'm constantly reminded of Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner every time I look at Rob Terry, and it's like, say what you will about Scott Steiner, at least that man was never put in a situation where he was just standing there wearing a damn mask, being basically a male valet for people, when it should kind of be like the other way around. He should be having the valets. I mean, it's freaking ridiculous, man. Abyss had defeated Samuel Shaw. A lot of these matches that I was noticing tonight, it just really came off like there really wasn't that much passion in ring ability wise. I mean, it was just kind of like, all right, chop chop, kick kick, chop chop, kick kick. You know, it just very weird too. Normally, I give really great praise for the episodes of Impact Wrestling that we get, but for this episode, and I don't know, maybe it was just because of the whole theme that was surrounded by this episode, which to me is just reeking of plain laziness, and, well, let's just do a tournament for the whole night. Let's just do a tournament, you know? That's just how I'm feeling. Maybe if they didn't dub it that and they would have just went, look, here's some really great matchups that we have for you tonight. Enjoy. Also a little bit disappointed that we didn't get a knockouts match on this episode. I mean, most people watch Impact Wrestling in hopes that they see a damn good knockouts match. How can you do an episode of Impact Wrestling where you don't have a knockouts match? Knockouts matches have proven to be very good in the quarter hourly ratings, so it's like, what the hell, man? But in either case, it is what it is. Main event, we saw Austin Aries take on MVP to Jury Anderson, Abyss, of which Austin Aries was the one that had came out on top. So what type of championship is he going to go for? You're left with that cliffhanger. What title is Austin Aries going to go for? And see, here's the other problem that I had with tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling tonight. It's like, why are you even trying to give me this BS of, well, gee, you know, in this Gold Rush match, the person that wins, they have the opportunity to go after whatever championship their heart desires. So if they want to go after the tag titles, they can do that. Or maybe they want to go for the X Division title. Well, they can do that. Well, maybe they want to go for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Well, gosh darn it, they can do that too. Don't give me that BS, because, come on, I think many wrestlers over the years, and Triple H is one that comes to my mind the most, is, okay, look, if you aren't in the company to be the top dog, then why are you there? That should be the ultimate goal, is to be the top person in the company, the top draw, the championship, the main championship belt of that company, of that promotion, is put on you. You're the face of that company. If you're not in wrestling to try to get to that point, you can still love wrestling and everything like that, but come on, you want to be the very best. You want to be part of that elite group. A lot of the wrestlers, look, for the brief time that I wrestled, and it was a hot minute that I wrestled, I had like about 3 matches, and I said, fuck this. I didn't mean to throw the F-bomb out there badly. But no, I said after 3 matches, I said, okay, let me just work behind the scenes and all that. Let me see what I can do with that instead. And I like that more than getting in the ring and taking the bumps. So I know firsthand what it's like to take those bumps. So I respect what the men and women do in that ring every single time I watch, no matter what promotion it is. I always appreciate what they do in there, all in the good name of entertainment, right? But even I had the mentality for the little hot period that I was trying to get involved in wrestling. It's like I want to be on top. I want to have my name, up there with some elite guys and all that. What's up with that? My friend who I trained, who got denied by WWE 3 times as she was trying to be part of Tough Enough, and they told her first time she was too muscular. They wanted her to come back when she was a little bit more slimmer, because she just had too much muscle mass. She came back the second time. She dramatically lost the muscle mass. For some reason, they didn't take her. They tried to offer her a developmental deal the third time around. They wanted her to move and relocate and all that. This was back when WWF /E still had the relationship going with OVW and all that, using that as their main training developmental facility and all that. She was like, bump that. But even that shape or form has either been involved in the wrestling business or is currently in the wrestling business, has gone, yeah, I want to be on top. I want to be one of those top people. I want to be up there with a Stone Cold Steve Austin. I want to be up there with a Rock. I want to be up there with a Triple H, a Undertaker. I want to be that top person. I want to be that face that's recognizable at airports, public events. All right. So to give me this BS crap about what championship you're gonna go for, it's like, don't do that. That really, it's insulting to the wrestling fans. It's very insulting. Okay, look, I don't have a problem if you're doing a tournament. If you can't come up with any ideas, TNA, that's fine. I am all fine for it, man. But don't do this whole, I wonder what championship they're going to go. Don't do that. Just say, okay, you know what? We're doing a tournament. Whoever wins, they're going to be able to take on the TNA champion, Bobby Lashley. Just let it be like that. Call it for what it is. And then, because after all, we're not that far away from Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory is going to be happening on October 12th. So, I mean, that's viable. We're like about 2.5 weeks away, almost. So I can buy into that. I have no problem with that. All right, but when you come at me with this New York City gold rush crap, and then you go, championship. I wonder, well, if you're Austin Aries, do you maybe go for the X Division championship, or do you maybe go for option C and become the TNA? Don't get me. I know there is definitely a core group of you guys that's like, get it, Lee, get it, preach on, man, you're so on point, and I appreciate that. But that's just my honest take on that. Now, look, I don't want you guys to get it twisted. I love the TNA product. All right, when they're doing things right, I give them praise. If you've watched us enough over the past several weeks, you know I've been trying to give them praise wherever it's possible. But at the same time, when they're not doing something right, I'm going to get on that ass. And I just did not like the way this was presented tonight. Really being one go, man, this was a really great episode because this happened, but it's unfortunately it didn't come out that way. For me, Impact Wrestling this week, it just did not give me my fix, and instead I feel as though I'm gonna need to get that fix elsewhere. Ring of Honor, I don't know. Speaking of Ring of Honor, on a side note, I got to give a shout out to those of you that live in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. As of right now, you'll now be able to catch episodes of Ring of Honor on WJLA ABC 7 Saturday nights at 1 a.m. Eastern. So that's pretty freaking awesome right there. So make sure you bookmark that and check that out. We've been waiting patiently for Ring of Honor on TV over here in the DC metropolitan area. So it's great that we finally have that. TNA, right, the biggest headlines that's come about right now is, and this is according to PW Insider, it looks as though former WWE color commentator, announcer Josh Mathews has begun working for TNA Wrestling. It said that he's now working for them after his no compete clause had expired. It said that he relocated to Nashville and he's working in the TNA offices. So, you know what? If it's true, I say damn good. Those of you that's not familiar with Josh Mathews, you're not familiar with the WWE product like that, I can tell you Josh Mathews is just one of those guys, very hardworking, very serious about his craft, a true professional. I've gone to many WWE events where I've seen him by himself, and he's at that Raw pre-show booth or whatever, and he's got his paperwork. He's just looking things over, trying to make sure that he's on point. He's not really joking around, very serious. You know, I thought it was a really bad move that WWE had got rid of him, because I just said to myself, my God, it's like this guy who wanted to be a wrestler originally, and that really didn't work out that well, makes a really good transition into being a color commentator and just doing a whole lot of good things behind the scenes, you know, really making it count the most, making up for the fact that he's not going to get the opportunity to be a wrestler and all that. And I just thought it was bad the way WWE had released him. I mean, I understood that it was the result of budget cuts and all that, but it's like, okay, if we really got to be brutally honest here, shouldn't we have it be about quality and not, oh, well, you know, we can get Pepe over here for, and that's just a random name that I thought of, so don't take offense to that. It's just the first name that came off the top of my head. Probably because I keep watching WCW Monday Night Nitro, and I keep seeing Steve Mongo with that damn dog Pepe. But either way, you know, oh, well, you know, why should we keep paying Josh Mathews when we can give Pepe over here, and Pepe can do it for like 50% less of what we're paying Josh over here? I think that's probably the way that they operated with Josh, and I think it sucks, especially when you hear the news that WWE had secured the services of Arda Ocal, and you're like, whoa, really? So it's like they kind of moved up, but at the same time, I'd be surprised if Arda was a little bit cheaper than Josh. No offense, Arda, no offense, Josh, as far as throwing cheap out there. But honestly, I think this is a great acquisition for TNA Wrestling. Some of my colleagues, they kind of moaned and groaned a little bit and said, "Oh man, not another WWE reject coming to TNA." Look, let's be for real. Just how we heard about Brodus Clay, and the way things are looking right now, we're probably going to end up seeing what happened with Brodus Clay maybe next week or the week after. But just how we heard about what's going on with that, just how we're hearing about what's going on with Josh Mathews, I don't think we should be moaning and groaning just yet. I think we all collectively need to just say to ourselves, okay, you know what? Let's be fair. Let's see how TNA Wrestling utilizes this talent. Let's see if they do it right. Wait a few weeks after we see how it's been going, then we can talk about it. But I don't think it's fair to just crap all over it when we haven't even seen what's coming about yet. And I'm telling you, I truly believe that this is a great acquisition by TNA Wrestling. I think it's going to help them out dramatically. It's going to be a really good impact. And honestly, as far as Josh Mathews goes as being a color commentator, would I like to see it happen? There's part of me that does. I miss the feel that he gives to color commentating. He kind of gives like a ESPN type of vibe to it almost. You guys really understand what I mean if you're familiar with him. But I definitely want to know what you guys think with regards to that. Post those comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about that, all right? And by the way, we do welcome those of you that's checking us out right now, whether you're checking out our live webcasts on YouTube or you're checking us out on the downloads. We appreciate you guys showing the love and support. Remember, you can share this episode a number of ways. You can Facebook it, you can Google Plus it, you can retweet it. One of the many ways you can spread a good word about us. And if you haven't subscribed to us yet, love to have you do so that you never miss out on all the great content that we do for you guys here on a weekly basis. Let's continue on. Not really too much more news to talk about as far as TNA goes, as we're going to make the transition to seeing what you all have to say about tonight's episode and some of the things that we mentioned on this episode here. Wrestle One has announced on their website that due to injury, Davey Richards will not be competing at Bound for Glory. Wrestle One's Jimmy Suzuki confirmed that he met with TNA officials including Bob Ryder, John Gubrick, Mike Tenay, and Taz earlier this week to finalize plans for Bound for Glory. Following that meeting, now Suzuki took to his Twitter account to discuss a number of things related to Bound for Glory. He denied reports that Bobby Lashley would be at Bound for Glory. TNA briefly did have Lashley advertised for the event, but then removed any and all references to him. Suzuki also announced that no knockouts will not have any match on Bound for Glory this year. So just to recap, we're not getting Bobby Lashley the way it's looking right now. We're not getting Davey Richards, and there's not going to be a knockouts match. My God, that just sounds so messed up, especially as far as the knockouts thing goes. That just sounds so freaking, I'm tempted to say discriminating. You know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to say discriminating. The knockouts division has been the cornerstone for TNA wrestling for X amount of years, and you are telling me that you can't find a spot for knockouts. You're telling me that you can't find a spot for one of the greatest female wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of boots in Gail Kim and have her be in the match against whoever, because whoever she works with, it's going to be a damn good match, all right? You're telling me you can't find a spot for knockouts. I'm hoping that between now and Bound for Glory, that mentality changes, because it just sounds so messed up. You should be able to find time for a knockouts match. You think TNA, my God, for a good minute there, TNA was known as, say it with me now, actually say it to yourselves, I'm not going to say it out loud. Suzuki had also mentioned briefly that former WCW star Kaz, oh, I cannot pronounce this one. I'm going to try it. Hayashi could be making an appearance at Bound for Glory. So keep you guys posted on that. I hope I pronounced that name right. If I didn't and you knew exactly who I was talking about, feel free to correct me with the pronunciation. I'm not going to be mad at you. Meanwhile, TNA, they have officially signed a former Ring Ka King champion. TNA and Sony 6 had announced the signing of their first Indian wrestler. Lord, these names tonight, I really should have practiced. Let's see if we can do this one in one take. Mahabali Shaya. Hopefully I got that right. Don't know that much about this guy. I really wasn't able to check out Ring Ka King that long. I'm actually going to be brushing up over the weekend, see if I can find out some matches of him and everything like that. But it looks like the way things are going right now, he's going to be having a really big effect on their TNA scheduling overseas and all of that. I have a feeling we're probably going to see him eventually pop up on main Impact Wrestling. We'll keep you posted on that one. And other than that, see, any other wrestling news we can tell you guys about here? TNA wrestling news? I think that's it. It's pretty much been a slow week right now for TNA wrestling news. So that's been the main thing that's been going on right now. I talked about it at the top of the show. I have a really cool article that's up at the TNAinsider.com website. Check it out when you guys get a chance. It's a great article. It's called TNA Wrestling Guide to Finding a New Home. It's been receiving some really great feedback. A lot of people just been going out of their way, whether it's in the forums or on social media. They've been going out of their way to let me know how much they had enjoyed the article. If you haven't read it yet, check it out. Again, at TNAinsider.com. We'll make sure that we have a link be available for you guys to check out in the episode description in case you're checking this out on your mobile or tablet device. On that note, let's go ahead. Let's get to you guys' comments. Let's see what you all had thought about the TNA product tonight. Maybe some of the things that I had addressed on the show here. We'll take it from the top. We will work our way to the bottom. Prince G. Mo, apparently he disagrees with Knockouts being at Bound for Glory. I'll read to you guys what he had to say, and if you guys disagree with that, you can directly comment to him, all right? No, RCWR, they can't put the Knockouts on in Japan. Have you seen Japanese female pro wrestlers? They make the Knockouts look like Great Khali in the ring. TNA doesn't want to embarrass themselves. Watch some of the Japanese female wrestling, and you'll understand. Trust me, I do understand. I was watching, I believe, Starrcade 1995, where WCW was doing the whole thing with the World Tournament Cup with New Japan. A little bit before that, I saw some of the action that was coming about from some of the females that they had coming over to wrestle in WCW. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm probably going way back for some of you guys, but I definitely am familiar with the Japanese wrestling. I mean, honestly, man, to me, that's just a cop-out. That's just really a cop-out, because if we're going to just leave it on females and not just be like wrestlers in general, I mean, that's where we really need to separate the two. Do we want to just look at it from a wrestling standpoint, or do we want to look at it from a gender standpoint, or do we want to look at it from a gender and a wrestling standpoint? Okay, now look, if it's a case, hypothetically speaking, if it's a case, G-Mo, if it's a case where TNA and Wrestle One, they're saying to themselves, look, you know, the girls you got are good, but, you know, we don't want them being ridiculed, you know, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. We want to try to protect them and everything. You know, okay, well, to a certain extent, I can maybe understand that. But out of 100%, there's 15% of me that understands that. All right? That 85% of me goes, wait a minute now. You got Gail Kim, who's won numerous awards by various wrestling magazines, promotions. She's been ranked in the top 50, 100, whatever the list is, Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I mean, you name the magazines that's out there. You're telling me that you can't involve Gail Kim, which, by the way, in hyping up Bound for Glory in the earlier video packages over the weeks, she was part of it. They were showing her in there. So you're kind of like, oh, all right, so it looks like Gail Kim's going to be there too. You're telling me you can't find a spot for Gail? Now, even if you don't want the Knockouts match to be on the actual pay-per-view card, I think to a certain extent we all can at least be in agreement that there should at least be a Knockouts match that should maybe be a pre-show. I think we can all agree to that extent. TNA Wrestling, they've done it in the past. They've done pre-shows, live pre-shows at that, leading up to Bound for Glory. Could they maybe do it again? That is a possibility. Time will tell. But nah, I'll read the rest of what you're saying. No, they make the Knockouts look like Great Khali. I got that. Doesn't want to embarrass themselves. Gail can go, but can the rest of the roster go at that level? No. To that, I counter back and I say, okay, well, you know what? You can still have female wrestling be represented. That's what it's really all about, especially given the fact that Gail Kim has been the cornerstone for TNA Wrestling for many years now. She's been the centerpiece for that Knockouts division. She was one of the originals for that Knockouts division. Personally, and I'm going to move on after this, I wouldn't mind seeing an interpromotional match go down with Gail Kim, and she can take on whoever Wrestle One or whoever is like one of the best Japanese female wrestlers that's out there right now currently. You know, I gotta brush up on my Japanese too. That's actually going to be part of 2015. I'm going to try to cover more Japanese wrestling, but that's a discussion for another day. But I think they could at least do that. All right. We'll see. Rockstar. Anytime Austin Aries wrestles, you can count on no less than a 4-star match. 6.5 out of 10 rating for me tonight. Adrian, hey Lee, first time listener. I thought Impact tonight was probably about a C if I had to give it a grade. Regarding Josh Mathews, I would love it if he took the place of Taz. Most weeks I find Taz as more of a distraction on commentary than helpful. I agree with you 100%. I was watching Impact tonight with a couple of buddies of mine, and we were doing it like on Spreaker, not Spreaker. We were doing it on Speaker. I had the phone going, and we were just interacting that way and all that. And there was one part tonight that just irked us the hell out from Taz's commentating, and that was when he said, "Oh yeah, you know Mike." And for me, every time I hear Taz, they don't hear it, but I swear, every time I hear Taz, he sounds like frickin' Spike from Tom and Jerry. You know, ha ha ha. All you gotta do is whistle, little buddy. You know, he just sounds like Spike. I hear him talking to Mike Tenay, and he's like, hey, Mike, you know, you seen that new Knockouts calendar? Oh, man, it's hot. And, you know, they're trying to sell it. Okay, I get that. And then Mike Tenay, you know, you think that's it. He just keeps adding fuel to the fire. And then Taz goes into it. He goes, oh, yeah, you can buy that Knockouts calendar for any occasion. You can buy it for this fall, this holiday season, for Christmas. You can buy it for Valentine's Day. And me and my friends were like, what the hell? The hell you mean you're going to buy a freaking Knockouts calendar for somebody for Valentine's Day? It's like, I don't know of any guys that walk up to another guy on Valentine's Day. Hey, dude, what's up, man? Hey, man, look, man, happy Valentine's Day, man. I got you this calendar here. It's a Knockouts calendar, you know, give you a little something to do. Maybe you could think of me as you, well, you do what you do, man, but here you go. Or, oh, honey, it's our 5th anniversary, and it's Valentine's Day. Oh, I love you so much. I love you, too. Oh, honey, I got you this. Oh, a new Rolex watch. Oh, honey, I love it. It's so awesome. Thank you so much. What did you get me? Well, baby, I got you this new 2015 Knockouts calendar. How much you want to bet your ass is going to be sleeping on a sofa as a result of that? You're going to be having a lot of quality time, if you catch my drift, with that calendar as a result of giving that to your woman. So I just thought, honestly, I agree. Taz is commentating. There are some nights where you're just like, oh my God. Sometimes I just put it on mute. That's the best advice I can give you. Would I like it if Josh replaced Taz? Yeah, I honestly would. Honestly, if we could just be rid of Taz's slapstick comedy just once and for all and just let it be about straight up wrestling. You know, if we can get the Taz that was teaming up with Michael Cole for SmackDown, I actually like that Taz more than the Taz we got in TNA. I don't know if some of you guys would agree or disagree with me on that one. And Adrian, appreciate you checking out the show. Hope you enjoyed, and if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. Rockstar, I enjoy TNA. It's not as good as the last few weeks, but still a good show. All right. Weston, Lee, us males might as well sing the word damn in harmony, considering we all know we were thinking the same thing about Rebel. By the way, Lee, who do you think, is hotter, Lana or Rebel? Why you gotta ask me that, man? I gotta think about that one. 429, K429. Is that a 9 or is that a 0? What we got there? That's a 0. K420, you know who you are. That's why Velvet Sky is one of my fave wrestlers. Weston, I'm a little surprised Tajiri didn't go over in the main event, considering the Bound for Glory pay-per-view is in Japan. Yeah. Weston will go on to say, I feel like today's episode was rushed. It was also very boring. I'm picking up that same vibe as well. Trust me, you are not alone. As always, we appreciate you guys taking the time out to share your interactions with us. Continue the discussion. Give us those comments. You can hit us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show. Follow us while you're at it. Also follow us on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity with an E. Make sure you throw the actual number 1 in there, Infinity One Productions. Man, great week we've been doing of solid content for you guys, and it's going to continue to roll on as this Saturday we are back in effect with a new edition of the RCWR Show. You'll be able to catch that this Saturday, September 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And you want to make sure you check that out, because on that show, it's going to be the only place I'm going to talk about this too. I'm going to talk about some TNA spoilers that I just shook my head and said, what the hell is going on here? You got to listen to it this Saturday. Those of you that don't like spoilers and all that, then don't check it out. But that's going to be the way we're going to set it up. That's going to be the only place where we're going to talk about it. I might entertain the idea of maybe having the excerpt be available on YouTube. I'm going to think about it, because I know how some people feel with regards to spoilers. So I'll debate on it, but I'm definitely going to be talking about it, because it's just, I'm pinned up. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about with regards to the results of some of these tapings that they've been doing, as in less than like 24 hours. It's just been, what the hell? You know, that's the best way I can describe it. We'll also hook you guys up with the very latest in wrestling headlines, entertainment headlines, and beyond. So make sure you join us for that. It's going to be pretty awesome. Great content available for y'all to check out, as always, on our YouTube channel especially. If you haven't checked it out yet, we did a really great conversation with former WCW and WWE wrestler Chuck Palumbo, of which we got to give a shout out to Wrestling Inc. and a few other wrestling websites that have picked up on that discussion. It was really good. You can catch that now if you're watching us here on our live webcast on YouTube under our guest exclusive section here on our channel. It's also available on the downloads. We're on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, iTunes, Blog Talk. Use the keywords, the RCWR Show. Another show in the books. That is going to do it until this Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, for an all-new radio edition of the RCWR Show live on Spreaker. I'm wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. We'll see you next go round. Everybody, do take care.